And begin recording. Well, good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Barbara Pike Gonzalez, and I am the founder of BPG Communications. And this is a special virtual panel program that I have created where on a monthly basis, I bring in different experts and we talk about just different topics that are important to our everyday lives, things that aren't necessarily talked about, but that we know when we do talk about them, it is truly going to create that ripple effect of a wave. And so that was kind of the reasoning behind the branding behind it and the topics that I choose. So I'm so excited that you're all here with us today talking about this important topic that I think a lot of us think about and deal with in our own ways, but maybe not as a group. And that is being our own advocate. We are such advocates for everyone else in our lives, our children, our spouses, our partners, our team, our community, whatever that is for you. But oftentimes what we don't do is advocate for ourselves. We don't voice our needs. We don't keep digging for answers to questions that we know that we deserve because some of us are kind of told to play small, shrink, stand back, don't make waves, actually. And so that's why I wanted to bring this group together. I'm so excited for this discussion today. If you do have any questions that come up while our panelists are speaking, feel free to chat them in, or if you want to ask them live at the end, we'll open it up as well. So definitely want to have that dialogue when we are finished here. So I will go ahead, I'll let each of the panelists introduce themselves and we will get started. Nadia, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Nadia Murdoch. I'm a mindset and movement coach. I'm certified in cognitive behavioral therapy and also mat Pilates. And I'm empowered by empowering women to connect their mind and body so they can step into their vitality and therefore coming into their ultimate confidence. I feel like, as Barbara was saying, we often overlook what we need, right? And it usually starts there where you find the power within. And so moving your body can offer so many answers to unanswered questions. And so I really advocate for women to start with just movement and connecting mind and body and really finding the power within.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank
Rachel,
you.
how about you? Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Rachel Lee. I actually am a partner at the CounseLaur Group. I am their CEO, COO, and Chief Business Development Officer, and it's actually with my life partner, which it gets tricky. And I also own my own executive coaching company, Luxia Coaching, where I have combined my background is functional nutrition therapy, bordering on the functional medicine side. And I've combined that with executive coaching and leadership coaching for women, but really not just their leadership within their career, but their leadership within their home lives, their personal lives, maybe as a parent, and definitely being a leader within their own health. So this advocacy, which I know Barbara and I have talked about many times, is huge in that realm. And so I'm super excited to talk about that with everybody today.
Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. Yes, as we often talk about, right? Like having agency. That was always a big word that we use.
Agency. Exactly.
Agency over our lives, over our decisions, over our bodies. Can't wait to dive in. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Lauren, how about you? Would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Sure would. Thank you for having me. Good to see everybody. My name is Lauren Tetenbaum, and I am a social worker licensed in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Florida, but I live in New York, just outside New York City, which is where I grew up. I'm a mom of 2 kids in elementary school and a former lawyer. And in addition to the therapy that I provide to women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, I love to write and speak about anything related to women advocating for themselves, whether that's in the workplace, advocating for gender equity in the home, advocating for better health care. I am writing a book about preparing millennials for menopause. And really being one's own advocate is a near and dear topic to my heart. And I'm just very excited to be here today.
Fantastic. I'm so excited that you're here. Lauren, why don't we stay with you and let's kind of kick off the discussion with really kind of setting the table for baseline, just to make sure that we are all, when we think about advocacy and self-advocacy, making sure that we're all on the same page with what we're thinking about. So, Lauren, how would you describe being an advocate for yourself? And again, it could be in all the different areas of life, or if you want to pick one specifically that's really within your niche and area of expertise, but just again, kind of setting the tone for what exactly are we talking about?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question because especially when it comes to women being advocates or assertive, there are often negative connotations, which there shouldn't be, right? That's a sexist assumption at the outset. And I think that women should proudly self-advocate. So what do I mean by that? I mean taking action or speaking up based on something that you believe in. And if we're talking about self-advocacy, it's for yourself. But I think even inherent in self-advocacy, it's for others, right? It's being someone who believes in working towards a just change and creating fairness for you and for others.
Fantastic. Rachel, how about you? How would you describe self-advocacy?
No, Barbara, I was thinking about this yesterday and I had a million different thoughts and descriptions or definitions, but I kept coming back to this. And I don't know if it's describing self-advocacy or not, and I have notes, that's why I'm looking down. But to me, it's you have to know who you are and what you want to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
So to me, it's like being in that nutrition space, right? Root cause is like the self-advocacy is the result or the byproduct. And really the root is, what do you want? Who are you as a woman, as a person? It first has to stem there, your core values, your desires, your needs. And I love the wants part because whoever gives us permission to just want just because.
Right. Right.
So
we have to justify.
Exactly. So for me, first and foremost, it's understanding self. And then you can go and stand up for self. And however that looks is up to you.
I love that. I think you're absolutely right, because I think oftentimes, we're told you should want this. You should not expect this or expect this. Versus like, no, that doesn't align with who I am and what I want. And I think it could be in small ways, it could be, hey, where do you want to go for dinner? Oftentimes it's, oh, I don't care, wherever. Like, no, just getting into that habit of saying, I want Mexican, I want, whatever it is, even if you truly don't care, I think that there's a muscle there that you flex in terms of literally advocating for, I'm going to make a decision, even though it's non-sequential, like I really don't care all that much, but I'm going to get other people used to hearing my opinion, and I'm going to get used to voicing my opinion.
Yes. Micro and macro.
100%.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Absolutely. Nadia, what about you? How would you define self-advocacy, either for yourself and what you have experienced, or for the people that you work with, or even just the people in your life?
Piggybacking off of what Rachel said, self-awareness is key. And with that, you're able to trust yourself, right? Listen to your gut. And when you listen to that gut feeling and don't go against it, you're able to use your voice and amplify it more and more. And that usually takes one big event in my personal journey that starts to exercise that muscle you speak of. And for me, it was my health, right? I had a thyroidectomy in 2021. And the first doctor was like, oh, you're fine, don't worry about it. And there was something about me like, yeah, no, this is bulging. I feel it pushing on my trachea. I don't think it's fine. Got a second opinion. She's like, that's got to come out. And a lot of people are just people pleasing, as you also spoke about, like just nodding and, oh, whatever, and agreeing with what's being said, but a gut feeling is telling you otherwise. Listen to that gut feeling. That is your muscle that needs to be exercised. And I feel like if you're in a room where your voice is not being heard, you're in the wrong room, right? So like, I feel
Yes.
like it's really important to use your voice no matter what it is and listen to your gut because you know yourself best.
Right. Absolutely. And I think also it is taking that time to get still and to truly listen to yourself, not drowning it all out because you get overwhelmed or don't even know where to go. And that doesn't necessarily need to mean meditation. It could be walking, it could be just sitting out in the sunshine, whatever that means for you and whatever you're comfortable with. But it is that self connection.
Yeah.
And it's also, like you said, self trust. It's all of it. It's all this compounding effort and emotion and commitment to ourselves that helps support our actions when we do advocate for ourselves, again, in big and small ways.
Yeah. I like to see it's like dating yourself because I
Yes.
think Rachel or Lauren, most people don't stop to ask what you like, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
quickly pleasing. And as we go into this holiday season and we're giving to everyone else, what do you want? Maybe you don't want to go to a holiday party, like, you know? And so just taking those moments, even weekly, even daily, like, what do I want? And then that can exercise that self-awareness piece that was mentioned earlier.
Yes. 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 I love that. Nadia, let's go ahead and kind of piggyback on that. With the women that you have worked with, and not necessarily just women, but for the people that you have worked with, or again, or even just people in your own life that maybe you don't have a professional relationship, but a personal relationship with, what has been your experience with them and their level of comfort with advocacy? Do you see, are most of the people struggling with it? Is it getting better? Like, just kind of what is your experience with the people that are in your life?
I think it's a case by case situation. I think it largely depends on if they're advocating for themselves in their own life, right? So they can support what I'm doing in mine, right? So if it's uncomfortable, people don't like to be uncomfortable. So if they hear you being loud or boisterous or, oh, that's a moment of discomfort. So there comes judgment, right? And you shouldn't allow that judgment in their own discomfort to change your trajectory of what you're doing. And I think it's like, listen, everyone's entitled to lead their life in their own way. Everyone has their own journey, but I think people need to be hyper vigilant on how you're digesting how other people live as how you should live, which is like what a lot of people do. So
Absolutely. And,
I hope I
I
answered
think,
your question.
yes, no, absolutely. You did. And, I think, Rachel, what comes to mind for me, because this is something that you and I share, and I just experienced this because I had family visiting me for a week last week, is that, you know where I'm going.
Oh, yes.
Rachel and I were raised in the Midwest. And for those of you that may or may not be, like, I know, right? Like, that truly is a whole nother mindset of definitely not rocking the boat, just going with the status quo. Do not think any differently than everybody else in your community. And so I think that's what immediately comes to mind whenever I think about that too, is, kind of, why wouldn't you want to be like everybody else? Why did you have to leave? Why are you creating this different life when everyone else is still there? So I'm curious, Rachel, from your perspective, and especially with you coming from the health and nutrition world and into more of the executive leadership role in that focus. What are you seeing in terms of the women and the people that you're working with in terms of their comfort level, where it's holding them back or where it's actually giving them, like, helping them to make strides because they're owning what they want and who they want to be?
Yeah. What I see is the older women get, the more empowered, vocal, I don't give a poo. See, I did it. I didn't swear. That was
So
like,
proud.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
So proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I needed that. Yeah. That as women age, that's when I'm seeing more women speaking for themselves and for others, speaking for the collective, right? And I can say that for myself too. I just turned 50 last week, And it was like, I woke up and I was like, I don't give a fuck what any of you think anymore. And it wasn't from like them versus me. It was me respecting me.
Yes.
And speaking up and not being afraid of the retaliation, or as Nadia said, the judgment or the discomfort, right? I would always default, and my clients too, we would default to other people's discomfort of ourselves. And then I had this thought, and I know I'm not really talking about my clients, but I think I'm speaking towards women. I had this thought of like, and I even wrote it down like, oh, wait, no, it's more important that I like myself for who I am than others like me for who I'm not.
Yes.
And that's what I'm seeing with my clients, right? In the beginning, they're a little bit younger. We're still in that modeling. We're still in that generational conditioning. We're still afraid that if we speak something, say something, do something, that we're going to, as we talked about before we even got started here with, we're going to lose our job. We're going to lose our rep or our urine branding, right? Like we're going to damage our personal brand.
Right.
And then, and then it becomes like, maybe we have children. And then what are our kids going to think if they read about you on social media and they hear you speak this way? And then we get to this point where we're like, I got to like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what I see happening, not only for myself, but with my clients, this evolution of self-advocacy that comes with wisdom, experience, getting comfortable with other people's discomfort, accepting that if I am retaliated against, I'm strong.
You're going to be okay.
I'm going to be okay. Not my problem. I'll go and be successful somewhere else.
Yeah. And I think also, it's similar to, the adage of when you start putting up boundaries, the people that are the most upset with that is because they had benefited from your lack of boundaries. And I think it's a similar thing in terms of I am owning who I am, and you can take me or leave me. I'm not disrespectful. I'm not trying to change you. I'm just living my life. And I think the more that, again, that we can do that and we can model that for the younger generation and also our own contemporaries and peers that are just not there yet, then again, it's going to be that ripple effect, right? That making waves. This is what it's all about. It's like, and we also have to, in turn, respect what other people say. Like, hey, you know what? We're all going to go do this. So-and-so doesn't want to join us because they don't feel like going. We need to be like, okay, that's cool. You do you. Like, we're good. Versus like, oh, I can't believe they didn't come. Like, why wouldn't she want to be here with us? Whatever. It's like those, and like more little examples, or maybe inconsequential examples, but still it's those, if we expect to be honored for us advocating for ourselves and showing up in a way that is authentic to us, then it's also expected, like honoring that in other people too. And I think some people are better at that than others. So I completely agree. I think it's 100% just part of aging and maturing. And again, I think it is also like, okay, I've seen what everybody else wants me to be like. I've seen what that's done. And I know what that feels like. I don't want to feel that way anymore.
Yeah. And maybe we need to be a little more disrespectful.
Yeah. Just kind of.
Because what's the definition of disrespectful? Is it a patriarchal definition? Like, what is that definition?
Right.
And maybe we need to push that a little bit so everybody gets a little uncomfortable when things are when they're not equitable.
Right. And I think also it's that kind of that verbiage of, are you actually being disrespectful or is someone disrespected?
Yes.
Because that's on them. If they decide, oh, I don't like that. You disrespected me. Did I, or did I just speak my truth? Where is that line?
100%.
Yeah. So Lauren, I'm really interested. I know we were just talking about women, of a certain age, and Rachel, I'm right there with you, a couple years past you actually. But I know that Lauren, you're working with younger women. What are you seeing, especially when it comes to their health? Are they feeling more empowered to advocate for themselves? Or are you also seeing a similar trend to where there's some progress to be made?
there's certainly progress to be made, and it's not young women's faults. It's that we're still in this patriarchal society where women are perpetually conditioned to be that agreeable, easygoing person who doesn't rock the boat or bother anyone or nag anyone or be aggressive in making an ask. And I really liked the theme that just came up about being disrespectful, or is someone disrespected? Because I very much believe and know that you can disagree with someone kindly, right? Just because you're asserting your values doesn't mean that you're being inappropriate or cruel or anything like that. And it is very important to be nice. I firmly believe in that. But nice doesn't always mean agreeing with the person around you. And if you continue to agree with someone, despite your values that are in contrast to what you're agreeing to, what is the cost of that, right? And so for my therapy clients, the cost is large because they're not feeling good. They are perhaps going into a workplace that doesn't respect that they have children and need to log off at a certain time or whatever it might be. And they're afraid to speak up and ask for a change in hours or more flexibility or whatever it is. But at what cost? Then their mental health suffers. They're feeling anxious. They feel like maybe they need to leave the workforce altogether. And I can't tell you how many women I have worked with that I've encouraged them to make the ask or to say no to something, and they do it and they get what they want. But unfortunately, women continue to be conditioned to not make that ask. And my mom always said, if you don't ask, you won't get. Yes. So I think it's important to remind ourselves of that and to acknowledge the answer may not always be what you want it to be. But then we have to think about, okay, well, what's next for me that's in line with my values?
Yeah. One thing that came to mind, we were talking about being nice. I will never forget, this was years ago in some interview with Oprah. And she was talking about, she was saying, I never, ever want someone to describe me as nice. I would rather be described as kind, thoughtful, considerate, compassionate, but don't ever call me nice. And I think it's a similar thing. It's like nice is kind of like weakness to a degree. Exactly. So Nadia, I want to circle back with you because I know the conversation has kind of evolved since you initially answered the question. Do you have any other thoughts kind of on basically how it had evolved based in terms of either maturity or just how other people may respond to us truly stepping up for ourselves and advocating for ourselves?
I'm going to piggyback off what Lauren said. I like what she says, what is the cost? And I think when you're able to look at it that way and take a pause and then see the cost, then you act in alignment with yourself, right? And I think the word values was said. What are your values, right? And how are you aligned with them, and how are you living by them? And I love the idea, you don't ask, you don't get. And that's the truth, because how many times have you asked for something, you're like, oh snap, they said yes, or like, oh my gosh, like let someone else tell you no. Don't answer for someone else, and let that be your power move. And I think that also at what's the cost, you talked about asking for time off and things like that, that trickles into other parts of your life, right? If you're not speaking up at work, then you're not speaking up at home or in your personal relationships. And therefore you're living a version of yourself that's super diluted. So when you take the moment to like really just ask that key question, that is a great journal prompt. What is the cost? And the stuff that will come out of that will empower you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, like you said, it really is every single aspect of our lives. And that's why I made, kind of the less important example of if somebody asks you what you want for dinner, actually say what you want. It's those little micro decisions that also then will go into the big decisions of, I want to leave my job because it is not fulfilling to me, or I am not being seen as the expert that I am, or I want to have children, or I don't want to have children, or whatever that is. It could be the big things and it could be the little things, but it is that trusting and knowing and honoring and loving yourself that gets you to those answers. And again, it all starts with that connection to yourself. Anything else, the panel of the three panelists, anything else you guys want to add before we move on to kind of more specific, tangible, how can we take action today to advocate for ourselves?
I think I want to share something that I'm really proud of that happened to me a few years ago. I was working in a law firm and discovered that the parental leave policy was unavailable to staff. It was only available to lawyers. And it didn't quite impact me directly, but I was really pissed off, right? And I thought about, should I raise this? Should I make a change? Should I self-advocate, even though it wasn't directly for myself? And then I kind of thought bigger picture about my values and about the legacy that I wanted to leave and what I would want my kids to see, which we mentioned earlier. And I thought, I want to be the kind of person who does speak up on behalf of myself or others. And in part, that's related to empathy, but I just think it is so important to really think on the macro level sometimes about what the greater impact is. And ultimately, with the help of many other colleagues, and I think, allyship also plays a role in self-advocacy. But with the help of a group of colleagues, we changed that policy. And I did get pushback and I was told basically to be quiet, etc. But it was a move that I made very intentionally and in line with my values. And it was almost 10 years ago, and I'm still very proud of it. So I just want to encourage everyone to keep that in mind. Thank you for the applause.
Yes. Oh my, well, and I love that. And I also think what you probably don't even realize, like, you don't know the ripple effect of that. There could be someone else that maybe in their community sees an injustice, or in their schools or what have you, and they saw how you advocated for what was right, and you stood up and you took the hits and you still stood up. And it's like, again, that's when it's modeled that you can be okay and still stand up for what's right and stay true to your values. Others see that, whether you know it or not.
No
It's
regrets.
huge. None. I love that. So Nadia, let's talk about, again, specific tactics. I don't even want to use the word tactics, just specific steps that we can take today to, if nothing else, even just to be aware of when are we advocating for ourselves, when are we not? And then from there, what can we do to really start putting that in the forefront? I know we've talked about a few of them already, but I want to kind of get more specific with those. And again, that could be relative to our health and our wellness, whatever you want to speak about, but I'd love your insight into that.
I like to call it a self-audit, right? Like, in looking at the parts of your lives in compartments, and think about how you would have liked to show up and how you actually showed up, and just going old school, doing a T-chart, and you're really able, because I think when so much is going on in your head, like a bunch of open tabs, you can start to go down the negative self-talk path. I should have done this. Oh my gosh, I'm such this. And you start berating yourself. But if it's there on paper, you have a clear head, you have a clear outlook, and tomorrow is another day. There's another hour, there's another minute. You can always make a change. So I like to do an audit. And you had said something earlier about like how you feel. We always feel it, but are you acknowledging it? And then back to what Rachel said, that self-awareness piece. The more we start to acknowledge things, the more empowered we are, right? I was listening to a podcast this morning, and he said, you can make all this money, but if you don't know who you are and what your values are, it's gone in an instant. You're not able to enjoy it. You're not able to make a purposeful mission in life. So I feel like really just taking that time, the way we sit down and write proposals for other people or write client notes, do that for yourself. And then therefore you have a clear pathway on what to do next. And it's not easy, especially if you have never done it. So start small, writing a sentence down a day, and just trying to take those moments to pause. And I think in days with kids and work and clients, we're not pausing enough. And so I think we build it up into something so much bigger than it is that we just don't do it. So I think if we just simplify it, then it becomes consistent and then it becomes a part of us. And so that's what I would suggest.
Yes, I love that. It made me think of a quote that we say all the time in our house, just of Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. We say it all the time to our girls. And that's what it's about. It's like, okay, I realize what I did today. Like you said, tomorrow's a new day. It's a chance to start over again and make different choices that are more aligned with who we want to be and how we want to show up. Fantastic. Rachel, how about you? Any specifics? Again, you could either think about it in terms of with the lens of your executive coaching and the women and the people that you work with there, or just in general. What are some specific tips and tricks that you would give to strengthen that self-advocacy muscle that we've talked about?
Yeah, two things that come to mind are, number one, investing in coaching or therapy. And I say that because I am a very headstrong person that I know it's really weird. I never would have done that. But I can't get to the deep layers by myself. I need the outside lens. I need the challenge. I need somebody to like push me into the discomfort. So I would say number one, and just spending the money, by the way, on a coach or therapist is such a perfect example of self-advocacy, because I don't think a lot of women are taught to spend the money. So get help, find your people, spend the money. It's the greatest investment that you can make. And then number two is be alone. Go away. Like, one of the most impactful transitions for myself and my clients have been when we have went away out of our environment. And I'm not talking, you got to get out of your house, everybody, right? You're going to see the laundry, you're going to see the grout, you're going to see the scum in the bathtub. Like, you got to go away and be quiet and be alone in order to hear who you actually are. Like, I call it, you need to hear your soul, because we've lost connection with that. We're born with it. And we, as children, that's how we live our lives, through just the voice of our soul. So again, invest in spending the money to go away and listen to yourself and be quiet. And from there, you'll have wisdom and information that you can then decide what you want to do next.
Yes, 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 and yes. I love that. You're absolutely right, because, and there's that safety in speaking with someone else who is an impartial person. They're not bringing their own baggage into this. They're just purely listening to you and providing that mirror when you need it, and providing that sounding board, and just that self-knowledge. There's so much power in that.
Mm-hmm.
Could not agree more. Absolutely.
Yep.
Lauren, what about you? What are your thoughts, again, in terms of with the women that you work with, the people that you work with? How would you advise them if they're struggling with this?
So I absolutely agree with getting support, because this isn't easy. I think it should be easier. As a culture, we make it particularly hard for women, but it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally to everyone either, and that's okay. But I think you deserve support, whether that's with a coach, therapist, friend, and you also deserve to support yourself. As a therapist and as a human, one of my favorite tools is self-compassion. And often that involves asking yourself, what would I tell a friend? How can I be my own biggest advocate instead of my own biggest critic, which again, we're conditioned to do. And it is so important to talk to yourself kindly and to say, what would I tell a friend? I would be cheering her on. With a lot of the moms that I work with, we also tend to reframe it and think, what would you tell your child, right? You want to see your child advocate for themselves, thrive, live their life according to their values. And it's easier for us to give that advice than to take it. But I want to remind everyone to be your own biggest advocate.
Yes, it's so true. I've caught myself doing that. Like some of the thoughts in my head, I'm like, ooh, I would never, ever say that to my girls, my friends, but I'm okay saying it to myself. I'm like, and that's when I kind of check myself. I'm like, no, like that's not going to happen anymore. But it's so easy to do, right? We've all done it over and over and over again. So what I want to do as we close out, I want to make sure that everybody on the call knows how to continue to follow each of you on social, that kind of thing. And then what I'm going to do is going to go ahead and open it up to any questions that all of you on the call have for our panelists. And then we'll double check the chat as well to make sure that there's no questions there that we need to miss. So Lauren, let's go ahead and start with you. How can our panel attendees and everyone that's listening to this after today continue to follow you and learn more about you and your work?
Thank you for asking. I just put in the chat my website and my Instagram handle, the CounseLaur. So CounseLaur with LAUR for Lauren, because both social workers and lawyers help provide counsel when people need it most. So please feel free to reach out if I can help with anything. I love connecting with others and making a difference in women's lives. So anything I can do to help, let me know.
Love it. And let's do another plug for your book that's upcoming. Tell us about that.
It is called Millennial Menopause, Preparing for Perimenopause, Menopause, and Life's Next Period. And it is geared towards the millennial audience, but everyone should read it, men included. I am very firm in that belief. And it is all about education and empowerment and will be released in spring, summer 2025.
Fantastic. I cannot wait to read it. Nadia, how can people follow you and learn more about what you can offer?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Nadia Murdoch, as well as on LinkedIn, Nadia Murdoch. My website's nadiamurdochfit.com. And I would love to connect and find support. Like, I just feel like there again, we're finding our voice, right? Like, oh, I should have said something. I wanted to ask. Just reach out to any of us. Use your voice. Yeah. This is your chance. This is your challenge to use your voice.
Yes.
And I hope to connect with all of you and make sure you're speaking up for yourself and empowering yourself every day.
Thank you. I love that. And Rachel, how can we follow you? And what do you have going on?
Yes, I'm mostly on LinkedIn. Being 50, I have not figured out Instagram and Facebook, or TikTok.
Oh, I can't even TikTok.
I can't. I don't even know. So I know my lane. So mainly on LinkedIn, Coach Rachel Lee. I put it in the chat as well. And then within our two companies, LuxiaCoaching.com or the CounseLaur.com, depending on what you're looking for. And depending on what you're looking for, I would say. So anyone that's looking, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say,
no, ask me. I do better with questions than the self-advocating.
See, that's why you're here.
I know.
And I know that you and Darren, your business partner and life partner, I know you both do some LinkedIn Lives. Do you want to talk about those and kind of what are those discussions about?
Yes, we have started LinkedIn Lives together because he is an executive coach. I'm an executive coach. I mainly work with women in leadership. He works with men and women, but he is very focused on the executive portion and stays in the career lane. And we have these conversations in our house about the differences between our clients and the differences in the thought processes of men and women. And I'm being very heteronormative. So let's just own that right there. And so we decided to start doing LinkedIn Lives to discuss how we partnered as partners and the struggles, because there's a lot of companies out there that are family-owned businesses or husband-wife, wife, partner-owned businesses. So very vulnerably expressing like oh, we got in a major fight today. And let me tell you why. It was over LinkedIn Live, and talking how we worked through that. And then also relating everything that's been in our relationship that we have to work through back to what our clients are experiencing, because nobody lives in silos, right? So executive leadership coaching is not just down the lane, you as a leader, it's you as a whole human being and everything that you're experiencing in your life. And so we just blend our personal relationship with our business, with our generational conditioning, and we just spew it all out in LinkedIn. And sometimes it's real vulnerable and uncomfortable, but we're really hoping that it helps some people navigate their own transitions or journeys in their life, personally or professionally.
I love that. And is that on, is that a specific like day of the week and time every month, or is it based on your guys' schedule and when you're able to make that work?
So we strive for every Tuesday at 9:15. I think there's like the second Tuesday of the month, he has something going on or something like that. I'm like, I don't know.
Messed everything up.
Go ahead and make it complicated. But I would say if every Tuesday, 9:15 on LinkedIn, you can register for the event. You can watch it after. I usually watch it after and put it like 2x speed. That's just how I watch everything. Gotta go fast, right?
That's right. Got to double my efforts.
Gotta double my efforts.
efficiency.
Yeah. But it's been really fun. And we're getting, I think, a little bit more comfortable with it and some interesting feedback.
Good. I love that.
Thank you.
And I do. I think it's a different perspective. Obviously, I think more and more people are in a similar situation, but they're not putting themselves out there like you are. You're blazing that trail. It's true. It is
true. It's really it is really vulnerable. Yeah. It's you really open up yourself for the jokes or the criticisms. Like, I mean, look, y'all, his friends immediately after are taking clips and like sending us, making memes and totally hazing us for this. And we're like, I know, like, bring it. It's okay. But
right.
Yeah, you got to still do it. That's the self-advocating, even when you're uncomfortable.
Right. Yes.
You do it anyway, if the discomfort is for the growth of yourself or others.
Right. And it's because it's something that you are so closely connected to, and that message, and you need to get it out. You need to share it.
Yes. 100%. I've hid for too long.
Yes.
And that ended this year.
Yes,
Done.
It did.
Yes, it did. It's been real interesting.
I love it. Quickly, in terms of if you want to follow me, my website is barbarapitegonzalez.com. And so I own BPG Communications, which is a personal branding and communications agency, primarily serving female founders, female leaders. And it's all about empowering them to be seen, be known, but still be themselves. So that's through personal branding strategy, communication strategy, PR, anything to keep you from playing small and hiding. That's what I want to help you do. So you can also follow me on Instagram at BPG Communications, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. And again, not on the TikTok. I can't. Thank you, Rachel, for putting that in. So I am going to go ahead. We have about 15 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Feel free to unmute yourselves. And if you have any questions for myself or any of the panelists, or just anything to deepen the dialogue, we would love to open it up for further conversation. Good Lord, I'm glad you're not on TikTok, because we're much older than you, and that makes me feel better. Any questions or just comments about what we've talked about today? Anything specific that that really resonated with you? Anything that you'd like to share?
Hey, thanks for having me here, Barbara. It's so good to be here.
I'm so happy you were on.
I don't really have any questions, but I just want to say, like, thank you to all of you. Like, sorry, I'm just such an emotional person right now.
That's okay.
I recently just met Barbara, and she's so wonderful, and I just feel so grateful for her to kind of include me in this. And like life always does, gives you the messages right when you need to hear it. And like advocating for myself has been really hard, and it's something that I'm learning. And it's nice. Please forgive me for what I'm about to say. It's really nice to like see that women older than me also struggle with it, and it's not something that like at 30 I should be perfect at and execute perfectly every single time. So it just gives me a little bit of hope. So thank you.
Oh, no, I'm so happy you were on. And like I told you, a couple of days ago, at the risk of sounding condescending, because I don't want it to come from there, I am so proud of you. You're doing the
Thank
work.
you.
You are doing
you.
the work. You are showing up every single day. And no, I am here to tell you, you don't ever have it all figured out. Never.
Yeah, I'm learning that.
No, you're doing so great. And I'm so happy you were here. And I was so happy that you were able to hear the conversation and just the different perspectives and what all everyone brings to the table. And I'm so happy that you got something out of it today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just really special to get a bunch of really smart women together. So thank you guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anyone else yeah, Rachel.
It's not necessarily a question, but I did want to say, for just in case we have people watching, that self-advocating, I'm like the biggest fan, right? And sometimes I get a little bit like rabid chihuahua over it. But I want people to remember that you need to be in a safe space to do that. And so there will be people who watch this that cannot self-advocate, at least right now. That doesn't mean like they're helpless. It means that they are in a position or an environment where they cannot for self-survival, whether that's financial, emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever that is. Okay, so for those that are in that position that are listening to it, I want you to be seen and heard, because I've been there and millions of other women are there. And that then becomes, I believe, our responsibility, if we are not there, to help those women and men and human beings in general. But we're here, I think, speaking more towards women advocating for women itself. So I just want anybody who needed to hear that to not feel like, well, I can't do this, it's not safe, or she doesn't understand, or this group of privileged women, they don't understand it either. It's like, no, we do, we get it, we see you, you're heard. And I would say, like, I am one of those people. If I could help, like, door is open, you need to find me and I will help in any capacity that I can.
Thank you for bringing that. You're absolutely right. And that is something that that needs to be said. And that is part of just our collective in terms of supporting people, supporting women where they are. And you're absolutely right. It's not something that everyone can easily do in every aspect of their life and in every situation. I'm so happy that you brought that up, Rachel. Thank you.
I'd also like to add, I think some women, I think in order to have a growth mindset, you need to be in rooms that you're not normally in. And so I applaud you, Kate, for being here, because maybe these are conversations that are not happening in your daily life or you've never really been a part of. And then that's when the aha moments start to happen, right? And life doesn't have to be like this. And oh, my boss doesn't have it figured out. And then there we go, the wave, the ripple effect. So I think the more you put yourself in rooms that you're not normally in, intergenerational relationships, friendships, you'll learn so much more and your mindset will continue to grow. And I agree with Rachel, like just making sure that if you need the help, ask for it in whatever shape and form. And it sounds like you found that in Barbara. And I think all of us, sometimes we paint this picture that we have it all figured out, but it's not, it's only your best friend that knows, like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, just out the door and like this happened. Like the more we're more vulnerable in spaces that are safe, we just have to find those spaces and be okay with stepping into them, you know, and don't already say that's not for me unless you've already tried it. So I applaud you. This is a huge win for you. And I think you should continue to write down your accomplishments, and you'll start to see how much more empowered you truly are.
Oh, I love that. Anyone else? Or Kate, do you have anything else to say?
Just thank you. You guys are really, really special. And like, I don't want to make this all about you, Barbara, but like, I just met you like 2 weeks ago, and you have just had such a great impact in my life already, and such you've just created a really safe space. So thank you.
Oh, no, there's no accident, right? That you
No.
and I were brought together. That's for sure.
Never.
Never. Oh, thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions for the panel? You guys are so great. Well, thank you all so much for taking your time and your energy to be with us today. I hope you all found at least one or two little tidbits that you can take away with you. We did record this, and so it will be, I'll send it over to each of you afterward once it's all ready. So you'll have it for future reference. If you want to share it with anybody, you are welcome to do that as well. So thank you all so much. A very, very big thank you to my panel of experts showing up like I knew you would for this group and just giving so much of yourselves. I really appreciate it. This is exactly why I created this, and to really deepen these conversations and to make the impact that we all want to make. So thank you all so much. Take care. Take any initial steps today that you can as you are able to really just connect with yourself and knowing what it is that you want and that you need. So thank you all so much. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.